Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for your attendance this afternoon, and thank you to those tuning in this afternoon on Zoom, as well as those watching across the OHL social media channels, as well as on YouTube. Very exciting announcement that went out just about 30 minutes ago. The Ontario Hockey League returning to an in-person draft format for the first time in 25 years. The 2026 OHL Priority Selection, presented by Real Canadian Superstore, held in support from Tourism Kingston, going to be right here at the Slush Puppy Place in Kingston. The last time we had an in-person draft in the Ontario Hockey League, a couple young men by the name of Rick Nash and Eric Stahl heard their names called. Of course, as many of you hockey fans out there know, they've gone through a full NHL career with lots of accomplishments and many more young players on the horizons that we look forward to celebrating right here in Kingston come June. The event being held June 12th and 13th, a Friday and Saturday, here in the Limestone City. Joined this afternoon to express excitement around this thrilling news, we have OHL Commissioner Brian Crawford, along with Kingston Frontenacs owner and Governor Doug Springer, and CEO of Tourism Kingston, Megan Knott. I will just quickly go through a little preamble for those tuning in on Zoom this afternoon. We will get to some questions following the formal proceedings. I will have those attending remotely type their questions in via the chat interface on Zoom, and I will get to those in due order as we wrap things up here before everybody goes their separate ways. At this time, I'd like to introduce OHL Commissioner Brian Crawford to share his thoughts and insights on this exciting announcement. Brian?
Thank you, Josh. Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for making your way here to share in this exciting news that we're sharing today. 25 years. It's quite a bit of time, quarter century since last time that we hosted the event in person. If we think about the priority selection for decades, the OHL has been selecting players from throughout our hockey communities to become part of our league. And for many of those decades, they were done in person. And having shifted to an online draft, well, successful over the last 25 years, certainly left a little bit something to be desired in a moment that is the accumulation of years of hard work by families. And I say families because, as we all know, it's not just about the sacrifice and dedication of the players themselves, but of their families and support mechanisms to allow them the opportunity to hear their name called and potentially become a member of this great league. So to be able to bring this back to a celebration of hockey, a celebration of the OHL, a celebration of our communities and the families that make up our hockey communities was something that we got really excited about as we started to think about opportunities to build the brand of our league, build the market, the market presence of our league, and find ways to create deeper, more meaningful connections with all of the stakeholders in our community, our hockey community. So to be able to launch an in-person draft event again is something that we think is a tremendous opportunity for our league and for all of the hockey community, for families to come and celebrate the achievement of having their name called. That's a pretty special moment. That's a core memory that not everybody gets the opportunity to experience. And we think that that as well as the opportunity to bring the kind of greater hockey community together, all of our teams, all of our team personnel, agents and partners and other stakeholders, that's a pretty special time on the calendar and a great opportunity to do so. We've seen some great success and a great track record in the Quebec Maritimes Junior Hockey League of hosting the in-person draft. We've certainly learned a lot from them in thinking about how we want this to look. And you look across the sports landscape and see other fantastic examples, whether it be the NFL draft experience or the NBA or any of the other leagues. And we think that this is something that that will bring a considerable amount of value to our league. And it's also something that we intend to expand. It's actually a draft week with our meetings and business meetings and kind of gatherings. We are going to seek to put together a fan fest here in Kingston and really create a celebration, a takeover down here on the waterfront in the great city of Kingston, which is fantastic in the warm summer, June months especially. And we're excited about what that'll mean for our league. We couldn't obviously do this without great partners in the city of Kingston, Kingston Tourism, the Kingston Frontenacs that have all stepped up to give us a home to relaunch this really special project. Of course, Real Canadian Superstores, who has been the title of our draft for the last several years and is a big part of this going forward. So we're really excited about the opportunity to do this and to just continue to expand the league and continue to ensure that we're delivering premium experiences and everything that we do. So I'll hand it over to Doug to say a few words on behalf of the Frontenacs, and then we'll take some questions afterwards.
Thanks, Brian. I've been around long enough that when we did have the in-person draft, I recall it very well for my first 3 years involved in ownership. That it was, and I got to tell you, I didn't have a stitch of gray hair at that time. But here we are now, and it's well overdue to bring this back for our league, and to touch on what Brian was saying with regards to the excitement that it's going to create for the teams, for the families, for the players, for the agents and scouts and everybody, and to bring it all under one roof is really exciting. And to be honest with you, I missed it ever since the last time when we stopped. I think it was in Mississauga, was the very last time 25 years ago. And it's also really important to note the collaboration between the league, Tourism Kingston, and to bring this together, and the support that Megan through Tourism Kingston has put behind this has been immeasurable. And so we owe a great gratitude from the league to her and to the city for stepping up in such a big way to make this happen. And Kingston itself, I mean, there's so much rich history with regards to hockey. We never have hosted this before, to the best of my knowledge. I certainly don't remember it. And to have it come here, arguably, maybe not so arguably, to Kingston people, to the birthplace of hockey, first game ever played. I see Jimmy Gilchrist right there, and I think that he would, our historian, that the first game ever played of hockey on the shores of Lake Ontario with Queens and RMC. So it's to bring it back to the birthplace of Kingston. And I might add that the Memorial Cup was born in Kingston. Not that we've ever won it or hosted it, but the fact is that the captain, James Sutherland, Kingstonian, was the creator of the Memorial Cup. We've had plenty of draft picks, great draft picks, plenty of guys that are playing in the National Hockey League right now. Unfortunately, they didn't experience what this part's all about because they came in the online draft. But it's just going to add so much more to everybody's experience, and I'm so excited for the players and the families as they come to Kingston and they get their names called and to experience what the OHL is all about. So on that note, I'm going to pass it over to Megan, and again thank the league and Megan and Tourism Kingston so much for really being such a big part of this.
Thank you. Thank you to you both for your comments and appreciation for obviously everything that we want to do within a community. It's a bit of a strange anomaly in that a tourism bureau sitting at a desk at a press conference with an OHL club and the commissioner of the OHL. But actually, I don't think it's without a lot of hard work in terms of relationship building and belief in the fact that Kingston, to your point, Doug, is simultaneous with hockey. And certainly we're really looking forward to being a really good host. And that's, I think, what we do well. We know how to throw a big party. We know how to invest in business events. We know how to invest in sport infrastructure. We have a lot of great hotels and a lot of great attractions that teams, families, and spectators can come and enjoy, to your point, Brian, in the nice weather that June will hopefully bring. And we're really proud. We're really proud to be able to partner with Slush Puppy Place, with our event venue here and our team. And I hope this is a sign of more to come. To your point, Doug, we've never hosted the Memorial Cup, but I think this is a good first shoe into proving that Kingston can host large events with our CHL partners. And this is both a personal, I had a brother who played in the OHL and was drafted. And to your point, a lot of hard work behind the scenes with families, seeing our team succeed and our siblings and our athletes be able to experience what I think they're going to experience in Kingston, which is a really heartfelt moment. So I thank everyone involved. It takes certainly a large village to be able to put an event like this on. I'm hoping that we'll see it come back to Kingston in the future. And I will now pass it over to Josh.
Thank you, Megan, Doug, and Brian, for your remarks. Just a quick reminder at this time for those tuning in remotely on Zoom, you can feel free to submit your questions in the open form in the chat interface on Zoom. At this time, we will take questions from in the room. Joel, maybe I'll just have you assist me in passing this microphone around. Does anyone have a question? We will distribute the microphone in the back. Maybe Ken first.
Hello, Ken Hashizumi from KingstonDaily.ca. First, Mr. Crawford, what led to the, I guess, the rejuvenation, if you will, of the having an in-person OHL draft? What were the kind of the thought process leading into it?
Yeah, I mean, one of the primary things that we're tasked with doing is growing the game, right? And growing the game of hockey, takes place in a lot of different forms. And one of those ways is building events and properties and assets that the league has that exposes it to more people, that engages more people in new and meaningful ways. And we've started to try to do some of those things, introducing changes to our schedule, like rivalry week that was just a few weeks ago, something different in the schedule that creates another reason for people to be engaged in the game. And the draft is an example of of an asset that has so many great touch points with so many different parts of our community. We want the OHL to continue to be revered as the ultimate destination for 16 to 19-year-old young hockey players that are pursuing their goals and aspirations. And we've long held the top spot, and we need to make sure that we continue to do things that advance our league and makes it ensures that it's that premium experience in all aspects. And that starts with hearing your name called and becoming a member of the league, and extends right through all of the years that you are in the league and what we're doing on the player experience side and the other sorts of things. So it's really just part of a kind of a broader mission and mandate for us to advance the league and ensure that it is unequivocally the top development league in the world.
Paul Susi with Global Kingston. This is maybe for Brian and Megan. Brian, how many people will be in Kingston that weekend? And Megan, how much of an impact on the economy will that have?
Yeah, so I mean that's certainly a huge part of it, bringing the whole hockey family together, all of our teams, all of the players, their families, their support system, all coming together in the community here. We are expecting to fill every single hotel room, and we've blocked everyone that we can possibly get a hold of here downtown, and also outside of downtown, so that we see thousands of people that'll come here and fill the hotels, fill the restaurants, fill the community spaces, and then also the arena, of course, for the draft event itself. So it's a festival event is the way that we look at it, beyond just the 2 days of the draft itself. As I mentioned, we were hosting our annual business meetings that has a couple hundred attendees, hosting our board of directors meetings, all those sorts of things, and looking at some other aspects as well through our foundations events and other sorts of pieces that we expect will add to the week. So a big economic impact to the community, which of course is important and part of why this is a great opportunity to work with Kingston. And when we started to think about where we wanted to go, we targeted some communities that we thought could be really great fits for it, that had a lot of the things that we thought we needed to make sure it was a success. And Kingston was at the top of that list, and Doug and Megan and others in the community here were on top of it right away. They wanted to make sure that this was the one to host it for the first time, and we're very thankful that we have that support, and that's going to allow us to have a really successful week here in just a couple months.
I can jump in, Paul. Certainly 20 teams will come and represent each franchise. You sort of do the math on the sort of upper echelon of those, the governors, as well as the owners, operators, and all of the coaching staff, all of the scouting systems that need to be on, hopefully, the floor of Slush Puppy Place, making their picks. And then you do the math on each athlete that potentially will be drafted, as well as their friends and family. And I think we are well suited and well rounded for a large economic impact, especially certainly in June, when traditionally that month isn't yet really sort of busy with leisure traffic. And so we're still looking for meetings and sport and other things to fill our hotel rooms and fill our restaurants and our local attractions. And it's a really nice time of year because all those attractions are up and running. And so it'd be a great experience for community to be able to kind of experience that OHL village that we're going to create in the downtown core, as well as all of the events that are happening here at Slush Puppy Place.
Yeah, maybe in just go finish the question.
Sure. No, I think what we'll have to do is do the math once the event's over. I wouldn't want to speculate, but I do know that certainly it'll be a more regional event. I know that we have capacity here in Kingston with a certain amount of rooms. There's also other things going on in the market. And then I think it'll be a nice expansion, similar to something like the Briar, where we did partner with Napanee and our regional partners in Gananoque, Brockville, to be able to also carry the room load if we need to.
I think we can say it's going to be substantial.
Short answer. Yeah.
The a couple other kind of pieces of detail. The event's a ticketed event, but open to the public. We're certainly going to work with each team to invite and encourage their fan clubs and be part of it. Especially their fan clubs and kind of the ones that will bring a lot of that energy. We'll certainly be working to invite top prospects that take part in our combine and take part in our various prospects events that we host throughout the year, of which we've actually added some new elements this year around our Connor McDavid top prospects game in January with the U16. So we've been adding a number of things, and so we'll seek to make sure that we can get as many people here as possible.
Caitlin Poversnick, Global Kingston as well. This one's more for Megan. How much does this kind of show that Kingston really wants to be on the map as maybe a sports town or a city that can host these sporting events? How does this kind of show that Kingston can be able to do that?
Yeah, great question. I think it marries the conference business with the sport events business nicely. So certainly I think what Brian's outlined and what Doug's outlined is it's not just a day, it's a week-long activity and a series of activities that spreads our community out to do various things within the sector, whether it's the athletes or the teams, whatever the case may be. I think also too, most importantly, is that we measure the economic impact of sport, not just with this particular event, but also the transportation methods in which they arrive and the hotels in which they stay and the attractions in which they enter, and making sure that we're also expanding that notion of just a sporting event being a traditional sporting event. So it can be around business meetings and sport being a business meeting facility. And certainly we're a community that doesn't yet have a conference center, but we're able to host large scale events like this, which just show the sort of opportunity to be able to be agile in the spaces in which we do currently work in, and be able to make sure that all of the activities that surround an event like this, that we can accommodate those with lack of maybe sometimes large venues. Certainly it probably would have been easier for the OHL to pick a community that has a centralized conference space. But I'm glad they took a chance on Kingston because we still can't accommodate the needs of this particular draft. And we have a beautiful city. It's a place where people actually want to go. I've traveled a lot over the past, 13 years with my kids and a lot with my brother. There are certain destinations you don't look forward to going to, and you're just going for that event. Kingston is a destination where you're happy to come and you're happy to stay an extra day or an added night or, come back in the future. And we're going to showcase that in June because it's just a beautiful place to be. So I think we're really proud of our city. We're proud of our team, and we're proud to host this and start this relationship. I think maybe that's the outlying message.
Anything further in the room here? Jim?
Yeah, Jim Gilchrist with Frontenacs. Brian, welcome back to Kingston. Of course, I'm old, but I go back to the mid-'80s of the draft held at the North York Centennial Arena. The tables, it's not that funny. The tables were all on the floor at that time here. Have you planned anything as far as the format here, Brian, with all the tables here, or just kind of a different kind of satellite way?
Yeah, so the hockey, our hockey ops people or departments and so forth are, still working through exactly what we want to do as a pertains to the format and the structure. The intent is to kind of bring our hockey community together in one centralized location. So we'll have some more kind of formalized plans, established over the next couple weeks as we get towards the end of the year here this fall. And we'll start to roll that out. But as I said, the intent is to bring as much of the hockey community together in one place for a really special weekend. And, as I said, we'll get kind of all the Corey sitting beside you there being the sorts of people that, we're going to lean on to make sure that we establish the best way to make this work from both, the event aspect of it and the purposes what we're trying to achieve from a commercial perspective. And then also, the hockey ops side of things as well.
Gary?
Gare Joyce from the WIG. I'm just wondering for Brian and Doug, why you would think that an event now would outdraw the draft back in 2001 when you might have had a few hundred people at the Hershey Center in a hub like Toronto with people just a short drive away. Really, there wasn't much of a crowd at that event whatsoever, and certainly after an hour or so.
Yeah, no. So I think it's a great question. I would say, from my experience, really being from running, major events, more so than ever, especially following COVID, there is a desire that people have for kind of shared experiences and connection. And I think we've seen in the I can't speak, but in the growth of events and event properties, that desire that people have, everyone's more online and living in a kind of more online world that's supposedly more connected, but you feel more and more disconnected. And I think that there's more desire to be out and see an event live, see a game live. Why has the OHL had record year of attendance after record year of attendance for the last 3 consecutive years? The league's growing, there's interest in the game, but I think that there's generally, in our society, more of a desire to be, part of things in the real world. And, the draft ended its in-person run for a variety of different reasons. I think that, a refresh of it, people are excited about kind of things being brought back from yesteryear that they were excited about. And I've certainly heard in the little bit of vocalizing that maybe we've done prior to announcing it, people's excitement to, telling stories about being part of it, those sorts of things. Now, a draft event, late on a Saturday, are there going to be less people than on Friday night when we're doing the first 2 rounds? Yeah, of course. That's kind of how these sorts of events sometimes work. But, we should also mention that this is also a television property. Just because it's in person, we're still producing a television show as well, just like we have for the last 25 plus years, that the media aspect is still a big part of it with the interview alleys and the car washes and all the sorts of pieces, the panel that'll be hosting the draft event. It's still going to be produced as a show in arena and for those that are watching at home as well. So a variety of different pieces to it. And, as we said, it'll be our job to really go out there and make sure that we, sell what the experience will be for those that are both part of it as a potential prospect and draftee, and those that are just fans of our league and want to be part of it.
If I can just expand on that a little further, because I was there too in Mississauga, it's going to be very different in the sense that, as you heard Megan talking, that it's going to be much more fan engagement. It's going to be festival stuff going on. That, I think we started on a Thursday and wrapped up on the Saturday. This is going to be the teams coming in on Tuesday. It's going to be all the players and all that other stuff coming in on Thursday. But the whole downtown is going to be involved in this situation. It's going to be really inviting the region to come to Kingston to partake in it at whatever level they do, whether it's coming to the building, whether it's partaking in the festivals that we're going to be putting out on the streets and stuff like that. So it's going to be a very different environment than what you're talking about back in those days. Things change.
Was it just a wasteland where it was at the Hershey Center?
I don't want to say anything about there, but it's going to be very different here.
I can say that. I think it's full circle because I think that's the year my brother was drafted and we didn't actually go to the draft because we had to drive to the Hershey Center to go. And that's a family from Kingston that just drove him around for 16 years of his life. So to be able to offer families an opportunity to come to community that I think provides an experience on top of a really great, I think, core memory, to your point, Brian, of being able to be involved in a draft. Marries a really good launching pad for the OHL to be able to put this back into an in-person piece. The challenge of families going to larger centers for hockey tournaments, you're just going for the actual ice time. This is you're going for, I think, and it's on us to provide this, but you're going for the experience of both the community as well, I think, as the draft.
Yeah, I've got a personal story that's kind of a, so I coach a AAA baseball team, and 2 summers ago, our families were here for a large tournament, Little League, Canadian Little League World Series, and they were absolutely blown away by Kingston, many of which had maybe never been here. A couple families that, had Queens grads and had, such as myself that, had knew the community well. And they were really just blown away by what the experience was here. And I think that's part of what we were looking for in a host site, that it's a destination versus, a facility kind of, in the suburbs that's non-discrete, that isn't necessarily bring kind of an experiential component to it. So, kind of leaning on that a little bit and knowing the joy that they had in being in the community and going to the restaurants and being on the waterfront and like, holy cow, I'd never been to Kingston before. This is pretty amazing. So I think that's a bit of what we offer and what Kingston offers and being the home for this.
Yeah, and just to touch on that, it's doing Megan's job now, but all the tourism stuff that is here that people are going to come to, whether it's boat tours, whether it's to the Penn, to the Fort Henry, which everybody knows, but are many other museums that we have. There's so much activity that people can partake in that it's very different than when we were in Mississauga. No offense, but we were holed up at the airport. That's where we were based. Okay, very different environment out at the airport versus downtown Kingston. So again, I think you're going to find that this is going to be an all-inclusive, really exciting environment that's going to be created. And for other communities that will follow us, the bar will be very high.
I just have one follow-up. I'll make sure to reboot my Airbnb. I wanted to ask if you had any feedback from or exchange with the broadcast partners as far as site selection.
Yeah, well, certainly that's part of it. As I said, it's a television property as well. It's a broadcast property as well for us, and we've had some great partnerships with all of our community broadcasters. The intent will be that it will once again be broadcast on all of our community television partners, just like it has been. That will continue to be on, obviously, with our partners on digital with Flow, and then all of our social channels, just like you would have experienced in recent years. So, continue to make sure that it reaches a really, really wide audience. It is on a yearly basis one of the most engaged moments on the OHL calendar is the draft. Like hundreds of thousands of engagements with league and viewers. So it's a great moment because obviously not everyone can make it here, and maybe there's grandparents, maybe there's others, there's followers of the league that want to pay attention to it, those sorts of things. So we obviously need to continue to capitalize on that and work with all of our broadcast partners to put together, as I said, a really good show as well.
Zayden Vergara from Your TV Kingston. Thank you for everything so far. Megan, I was curious with the ramp up from Little League to the Vanier Cup for 2 years in a row, now to an OHL Priority Selection draft all in person. Is there a continued plan to ramp up? Are we going to see, especially June 12th or 13th, a Princess Street Promenade to go and get more people out and engaged? Is there a plan to ramp up towards the event?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. When we were able to do the Briar, I think that's a great example of a really great community engagement rollout that we had. Certainly every single restaurant in every single hotel room in our Springer Market Square, on our modes of transportation, whether that be bus, trolley, whatever you were taking, you knew you were in Kingston and there was a thematic piece to the event. And I envision, and I know that we're going to do a really good job of doing the same thing in terms of capturing like an OHL village, especially in the downtown core of our community. So certainly that's on us to make sure that we outfit our community with pageantry, so you feel a sense of welcomeness, and you also feel a sense of understanding the hockey history. And I think that's something we can really lean into, is why would the OHL come to Kingston? And to Doug's point, being sort of the I think, the pioneer of hockey. We're going to own that, and we're going to be able to tell some stories around the downtown, especially, you know, leaning into our local OHL club here. To be able to feel like you came to something, even if it's the event itself is the reason you're here. It's more to the fact that I don't know about you, but when you go to an event, a major sporting event, the activity around it is equally as important as the game itself, no matter what game is played. And I think that we know how to do that. We've proven that we can do that. And this is going to be not an exception to that rule. I think, in fact, it'd be better because we have the weather on our side, which would be really nice.
The countdown is on, and after hearing all this, I'm very excited. I have no further questions at this time. We will allow for some one-on-ones should any TV networks or anyone in the room require that. We will get to that in just a moment after a quick photo opportunity between our three members of the head table here, and we can do that right now just in front of the backdrop. Rossi, I know you wanted to snap one. So aside from that, that will conclude the formal proceedings today. Thank you for everybody's attendance and attendance online as well for those on Zoom. Thank you, everybody. A lot of excitement building into this event. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.